Under the impression that the Jews of Jesus' day had the same Old Testament canon that you read today. Can you please show us any historical artifact that would show us this?
Hey Hayden, obviously I'm not Jeff, but I would like to respond. First, Jesus himself affirms a recognized Jewish canon. So Jeff asks if the Jews of Jesus' day had the same Old Testament that we do today, and the answer is yes, and Jesus said so. In Luke 24:44, Jesus speaks of the law of Moses, the prophets, and the Psalms. That's a classic threefold structure of the Jewish canon, Torah, prophets, writings. So the exact content of the Protestant Old Testament, same books, different order, no apocrypha. Second, Jewish sources confirm the same canon. So when we look at things like Josephus, a first century Jewish historian, the same era as Jesus and the apostles, he explicitly says that the Jews had 22 books that they considered scripture. So under Jewish counting, that's identical to the Protestant canon of 39 books. Again, same content, different way of grouping. And then when you look at the Dead Sea Scrolls, every Old Testament book is present except for Esther and the Apocrypha, never treated as scripture. No place in the scripture scrolls, no canon lists include them. 3, the early church used the Jewish canon. So the apostles quoted the Old Testament constantly, over 300 times, but they never quote the Apocrypha as scripture. Not once do they say it is written inside a deuterocanonical text. When Paul says in Romans 3:2 that the oracles of God were entrusted to the Jews, he's pointing you straight back to that same Jewish canon. Now, fourth, the Doug Wilson quote completely misfires here, Hayden. Yes, Doug Wilson likes to say that Protestants have no doctrine of the table of contents, and I get his point. Protestants sometimes underteach how the canon is formed, and I think that's fine unless you're an apologist. But to leap from that to therefore the LDS canon is true is like saying some people don't know how electricity works, therefore Bigfoot powers the grid. A Protestant who hasn't studied canon information doesn't prove Joseph Smith received golden plates from an angel. And my last point is this, that the LDS canon problem is far, far bigger. If you really want to talk about canon problems, the Book of Mormon contradicts earlier LDS scriptures, the Doctrine and Covenants contradicts the Book of Mormon, the Pearl of Great Price contradicts the Bible, and the LDS Church has formally changed, removed, or reversed revelations from Joseph Smith himself. So if Protestants supposedly have no canon, the LDS canon is canon roulette, if you will. So yes, the Jews did have the Old Testament we use today. Jesus affirmed it. Jewish history confirms it, and the early church received it. The LDS argument here isn't a problem for Protestantism, but it's a massive problem for Mormonism. So know your history, stand on the word, and don't let bad arguments shake your confidence in Scripture.